Hello, this is Knight Ministries. I am your host, Jeremy Knight. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the video for a code word you can put in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video and enjoy the show. Okay. Hello. Yeah, this is the introduction to a video that is rather unusual, and I didn't really plan on making this video, but you can blame the existence of this video on Nathan Thompson. Because, yeah, Nathan Thompson, the Flat Earther, was the guy that gave me the idea for this video. My series, A Biblical Debunking of Flat Earth and Geocentrism? Yeah, I wasn't planning on making this episode, but this is a bonus episode for my series, A Biblical Debunking of Flat Earth and Geocentrism. So this is episode 22 in that series, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff, because apparently there's a few verses that need to be addressed before I can wrap this series up. So this is a bonus episode. Okay? Hello. I was going to make this episode the last episode in my series, but I decided to make it a bonus episode instead. So this is episode 22 of my A Biblical Debunking of Flat Earth and Geocentrism series. And as you can see, this episode is subtitled Shut Up, Nathan. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I worked hard on it. Okay? The next episode, number 23, will be the final episode of my series, A Biblical Debunking of Flat Earth and Geocentrism. Okay? What Nathan ignores about Genesis. There are severe mistakes that Nathan Thompson is making in his interpretation of the Bible. For one, he seems to forget the true purpose of most of the books in the Bible. He also ignores all cultural context and all forms of modern/Bible theology. He takes the Bible way too literally and forgets that the Bible is full of metaphors, poetry, figurative language, allegory, prose, parables, and other forms of non-literal writing styles. While I myself do take the Bible in a quasi-literal manner, watch my videos 4 Degrees of Bible Literalism for more info on what that means, I do not take it 100% literally, and I do recognize the poetry in the Bible. Nathan seems to be completely incapable of telling what poetry, metaphors, allegory, and parables even are. He is completely and utterly incompetent in every sense of the word. He has no idea what he is talking about. Do not trust what he has said on this topic about the Bible. Every word he has said is nonsense. Geocentric Earth. Claim. God says Earth is geocentric with the sun, moon, and stars all locked in the firmament. Heavenly bodies are for signs and seasons. There is no stellar parallax, otherwise we wouldn't have constellations for thousands of years. The created sky is a perfect clock. And the verse for this claim is Genesis 1, verses 16 to 17. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. That's how it appears in the ESV. The KJV is above. Read it yourself. Explanations. No, the earth is not geocentric, and the Bible does not affirm a geocentric earth. In fact, quite the opposite is true. I do believe that God did create the universe, and that he caused it to come into existence, but I accept mainstream science on this matter. Yes, the earth does orbit the sun, and that is how God created it. Yes, the earth/universe are billions of years old, and that is how God created it. I am sure that science got this correct. Nowhere in the pages of the Bible does it tell the true shape of the earth, or whether or not it orbits the sun, or that the sun orbits it. Genesis 1 is a true creation story, and yes, it is real history. But the days are more like eras of time, way more than 24-hour calendar days. I mean eras that last upwards of millions/billions of years. After all, the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. This is what science says. Nowhere in the pages of the Bible does it tell you that anything in the creation is perfect. It only uses the words good and very good to describe this creation. Genesis 1 is more a polemic than it is anything else. Verses 16 to 17 are more about telling you to not worship the creation, sun, moon, and stars, than it is about what/where they are. There is no firmament dome in the sky. Stellar parallax definitely does exist and has been proven by science. Nope, the night sky is not a perfect clock to mark the seasons and signs for measuring the passage of time. It works fine from a heliocentric model and has done so for thousands of years. Flat Earth is stupid. Stationary and fixed. Claim. God says Earth is stationary and fixed on immovable pillars. Every scientific experiment to prove the Earth moves has failed. The verse for this claim is, He set the earth on its foundations so that it should never be moved. That is Psalm 104, verse 5. That's from the ESV. The KJV is above. Read it yourself. Explanations. No, the earth is not stationary. This is more a point of view, a frame of reference thing, than it is a literal thing. The earth is not fixed and does move. Psalm 104 is not saying the earth is stationary in a literal sense, but rather that we don't feel the movement. It's a frame of reference thing. But I wouldn't expect Nathan to know what frame of reference is. He's too stupid for that. Maybe Nathan should read 2 verses earlier in the same chapter, where it talks about stretching out the heavens, because that sounds like Big Bang cosmology, expansion of the universe to me. So that's a fail. Flat as a seal. Claim. God says Earth takes shape like clay under a seal. The verse is Job 38, verse 14. It is changed like clay under the seal, and its features stand out like a garment. That's the ESV, the KJV is above, read it yourself. Explanations. This verse is using a metaphor. Nathan needs to learn what metaphors are. They should not be taken literally. In case you're wondering, the idiom that I'm talking about is further on in the context, and yeah, it's an ends of the earth idiom, which refers to as far as you can see or where land meets the sea. Yeah, it's just an idiom. It's further on in the context. Metaphors should not be taken literally. Neither should idioms. Nathan needs to learn what metaphors and idioms are. This verse really has nothing to do with the shape of the earth, so the earth is still spheroidal. Sounds pretty easy. It's just talking about how God formed the earth. Yeah. If you read further on in the context, you get a message about not being violent. Okay. Firmament Dome. Claim. God says Earth is covered by a firmament dome structure. You read that right. Even NASA admits we can't leave low Earth orbit anymore. Sundogs somehow prove a firmament. The verse is Genesis 1 verse 7. And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. And it was so. That was the ESV. The KJV is above. Read it yourself. Explanations. No, the Bible does not say the earth is covered by a firmament dome. In fact, the Hebrew word rakia has nothing to do with a solid dome-like structure. Yeah, and it is usually translated as expanse/space in most modern Bibles. There is no dome in the sky. In fact, if you just read one more verse, you would know this, because in verse 8, the expanse is called sky. This proves even God says there is no dome. Sundogs literally have nothing to do with what you're trying to say, Nathan. They're formed by crystals in the sky. They have nothing to do with a supposed firmament dome that doesn't exist. You really know nothing about science. Every statement you have said just proves how stupid you are. So yeah. And when I say crystals, I'm referring to ice crystals. Just to let you know. So yeah, Nathan really is an idiot. Okay. Okay, two lights. Claim. God says the moon is self-illuminating. God is very clear that he made two lights to rule the sky, and that the moon gives off its own light. Also, direct moonlight is colder than in the shade of the moon. Something about researching it. Trust me, it's stupid. Anyways, the verses are Genesis 1 verse 14, which says, "And God said, Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." That's the ESV. And the other verse is Mark 13, verse 24. "But in those days after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light." That's the ESV. The KJV, uh, they're also listed here. You can read the KJV yourself. I prefer reading the ESV. Okay. Explanations. The moon does not give off its own light. It just reflects sunlight. Uh, the problem with Nathan's cold moonlight thing is that it's just radiated cooling. That's what Nathan really needs to research. Radiated cooling. Because, yeah, radiant cooling, it's a thing. It's the exact phenomenon that Nathan is experiencing with his cold moonlight. That's what he needs to research. The moon can still be a source of light even if it's not giving off its own light. Nathan needs to research how reflections work. Genesis 1 is more focused on saying that we shouldn't worship the sun and moon than it is about saying where the light from the moon actually comes from. The, the authors of the Bible didn't really care about where the light from the moon actually comes from. Genesis 1 is a polemic first, and a creation account second. Nathan's interpretation of the Mark verse is stretching it, to put it politely. It doesn't mean what he says it means. It really doesn't say what he says it says. Nathan really doesn't know anything. He has no idea what he's talking about. Okay? Ends of the earth. Claim. God says the creation is complete, not expanding. Over and over, the Bible speaks about the ends of the earth. A ball does not have ends. Something about the Antarctic ice wall. Yeah, the flat earthers still think Antarctica is an ice wall for some weird reason. Uh, I don't know why he chooses to manipulate this particular verse, but the verse he chooses to manipulate is Genesis 2, verse 1. "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them." That's the ESV. KJV is above, read it yourself. Explanations. Nathan needs to learn that the ends of the earth is an idiom, and it simply refers to faraway lands or unknown countries, which there were plenty of those back then. Back in biblical times, there were plenty of unknown countries. So yeah, Nathan needs to learn what an idiom is. God doesn't have to be physically stretching out the universe for it to expand. Nothing new has to be created for the universe to expand. It's like a rubber band. You stretch a rubber band, you don't get more rubber band material. It's the same amount of rubber band material. If you stretch a rubber band, that's how the universe is expanding. You don't get more material. Nothing new is created. So Nathan is just sounding dumber and dumber every time he makes a claim, and proving that he has no idea what he is talking about. So yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Sun halts. Claim. God stops the sun to stop the day. Earth is not spinning. The sun and moon move above the Earth around polar center as their paths expand and contract annually, alternating every 6 months, causing seasons, 24-hour daylight in the north, and sun animals. The verse he is manipulating to support this, Joshua 10, verse 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped until the nation took vengeance on their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Jashar? The sun stopped in the midst of heaven, and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. ESV. The KJV is above. You can read it yourself. Explanations. This verse actually makes more sense if you back up and read from verses 1 to 15. After all, verse 11 clearly says there was a hailstorm. This is more about having a day that feels longer than 24 hours than it is about the day actually being longer than 24 hours. Sun analemmas actually prove a globe Earth. Nathan just doesn't know what he's talking about. He really is stupid. Water is a natural level. Claim. God says water is level, not curved. Large bodies of water, like oceans and lakes, have zero curvature or convexity, flawlessly flat. The verse he is manipulating here is Job 37, verse 10. By the breath of God ice is given, and the broad waters are frozen fast. ESV. The KJV is above. Read it yourself. Explanations. Water does curve because it is on Earth, and Earth is curved. Earth is a spheroid, just like God made it. It does not matter if we are talking large bodies of water or not. The surface of the Earth is curved because the Earth is a ball, it's a globe, whether Nathan likes it or not. I don't see how Nathan is getting flat Earth from this verse. It is not there. This is another one of those areas where he is just reading what he wants to read into the text. That's called eisegesis. It's basically interpreting the text backwards. What we're supposed to be doing is exegesis. Reading what naturally comes out of the text, what naturally flows from the text. We're not supposed to be reading what we want to read into the text, which is exactly what Nathan is doing here. He's doing eisegesis instead of the proper way of exegesis. Nathan has no idea what he is talking about here. He's just simply wrong. He's wrong. Okay? Earth is a circle. Claim. God says Earth is a circle / disc, not a ball. Earlier in Isaiah, the word for ball or sphere is used. a very distinct difference. The verse he is manipulating here is actually one of my favorites, and you'll see why later on. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and inhabits and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them like a tent to dwell in. Isaiah 40 verse 22 ESV. The KJV is above, read it yourself. Explanations. This is one that actually is a proof for globe earth in the Bible. I really don't care what the flat earthers say here. This is a proof for globe earth in the Bible. The DRA translates this verse using the word globe. The MSG translates it using round ball. And the word that is translated circle is chug, which means circle, circuit, or sphere. The word from earlier on in Isaiah that is sometimes translated as ball is the word dur, which is most often translated as surroundings. So Nathan is just simply wrong here. This one actually is a proof of the globe. The Bible is actually saying that Earth is a sphere in this verse. Okay? In this verse, the Bible is actually saying that Earth is indeed a globe. So he's just 180 degrees of wrong on this one. Okay? Space is fake. Claim. God says space is fake. Why would anyone try to build a tower to heaven if Earth is flying through space? Ever thought about that? Oh, come on. The verses he is manipulating here are, God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." Genesis 1 verse 6, ESV, KJV is above. Read it yourself. The second verse is, "Then they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." Genesis 11 verse 4 ESV. The KJV is above. Read it yourself. Okay, so explanations. You are aware of the fact that we still build skyscrapers even to this very day, right? What I am saying is that the desire to build tall buildings extends way beyond a desire to reach the heavens. Verse 6 is not talking about a firmament dome. It is talking about the creation of the water cycle. The verse from chapter 11 verse 4 is not talking about reaching the heavens. Besides, that is not even the reason God destroyed the tower in the first place. Read it in context. No, the reason the tower was destroyed was because mankind kept disobeying God's command to multiply and fill the earth. You can actually see that at the end of the verse. They were trying to prevent themselves from being dispersed upon the earth, which we are told which he told us to do twice. He told us to multiply and fill the earth twice. That phrase is said 3 times in Genesis, but the first time wasn't to humans, so it doesn't count. If you read chapter 1 verse 28 and chapter 9 verse 1, all in Genesis, you will find the phrase. See how reading the Bible in context helps? So yeah, learn to read the Bible in context, Nathan. Because you are just simply wrong here. So yeah, context much. Okay? Bonus verse. Claim. The earth is flat and stationary. It does not move at all. The verse being manipulated here is, "For thus says the Lord, who created the heavens, he is God, who formed the earth and made it. He established it. He did not create it empty. He formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, there is no other." That's Isaiah 45, verse 18, ESV. KJV is above. Read it yourself. Explanations. This verse doesn't even come close to saying what they claim it does. I couldn't even find a version of the Bible that uses the word fix, like they often quote it as. Yeah, I went through all the versions of the Bible that are on Bible Gateway. Not a single one of them used the word fixed. They all use the word established. So, at best, they are misquoting. At worst, they are straight up lying. This verse refers to the earth being made to be inhabited and not empty, which is obvious. Life in abundance. There's life everywhere on earth. If you read the rest of the chapter, it talks about God as the Savior. So yeah, context. So this verse isn't even coming close to talking about the shape of the earth, nor whether or not it rotates like is often claimed. So they are just simply wrong here. Okay? Conclusions. Well, that's the end of this video, and I have once again shown that the Bible does not say the earth is flat and stationary. The Bible is not a flat earth book. I have once again shown that it is all about proper understanding of the text and remembering to read it in context. You know, practicing good exegesis. Nathan does not understand the Bible and does not know what he is talking about. Nathan needs to heed my advice and just shut up. So yeah, it would be a much better place if all the flat earthers just shut up. Okay? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell. And follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. This is Jeremy Knight, and I just wanted to say, see you next time.